Suggested by many for our island songs, which we have on the programme tonight before 7 o'clock. Cuba by the Gibson Brothers. Now it's 5:22, drive time from BBC Radio 2, and on Friday's programme, during All Request Friday, we had a call from Lynn. You might remember her. She was talking about her intention to scale all 367 steps up to the top of Salisbury Cathedral. And as soon as she was on talking about Salisbury, thinking, well, Monday is clearly the day to wallow in the glory of the cathedral and the stonemasons responsible. So here is one, Tom Maude, master stonemason, and author of Guided by a Stonemason, Cathedrals, Abbeys and Churches of Britain Unveiled. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Simon.
367 steps, then, is a lot. Is that the tallest at Salisbury?
Salisbury Cathedral is the tallest spire in Britain, yes. 404 feet.
Wow. So that would be some achievement then if Lynn managed to make it to the top. Just explain where Salisbury then sits amongst all the cathedrals that you've seen and what people should be looking for.
Well, Salisbury is a great example because a lot of cathedrals were built over, it took them 200 to 300 years. They built in stages. So when the money was there and the craftsmen were there, these cathedrals would get built in stages. But Salisbury is a fantastic example of what you can do in a lifetime. In about 40 years it took to build the main body of Salisbury Cathedral. The spire was added later, but most of the cathedral, when you walk in, was all built within one lifetime.
And when were most... There's a huge generalisation here, Tom, but when were most of the cathedrals in the United Kingdom, when were they built?
They were built just after the Norman conquest. So when the Normans got here, one of the first things they started to do, apart from building castles, was to build Norman French cathedrals. And so by about the year 1100, most of the cathedrals that you see around the country now, Gloucester, Wells, Salisbury, Durham, all the main cathedrals, Rochester, Ely, were all started to be built by 1100.
And I don't think I've ever asked this of anybody. No, I don't think I have. How on earth do you go about building a cathedral?
Well, if you're the master mason, that's the guy who organises everything. He designs the cathedral and pushes through the design. So he organises... The first thing you've got to do is you've got to find a nearby forest and a quarry, because you're going to need a lot of timber. Then you've got to organise the workforce. So you need stone carvers, you need a lot of carpenters, and you also need a fleet of blacksmiths, because the blacksmiths are going to make the tools, sharpen the tools, make all the nails and the hinges and the chains that are going to be used to build that cathedral.
And the master mason, though, is the main man, by the sound of it.
He is. He's the one that understood the secret of geometry. And behind the secrets behind building a cathedral is the science of geometry. And that was the secret that he held.
And is that sort of one of the origins of the Masons then? That because you could all meet together and share your secrets and your secret life. That's where
this kind of secret masonry thing came in, because the higher you got up to being a master mason, the secrets of the geometry behind how you lay out and build a cathedral, and that was the very essence of what a master mason was.
And where are the British in the rankings of master masons? You know, how do we compare with others around the rest of the world?
Well, there's always been a great tradition. There's always been a great rivalry between us and the French, in particular.
No surprise there.
Yeah, and I have to say, hand on heart, the French are great cathedral builders, and their standard of craftsmanship today is, probably higher than ours.
And how did you, just a word on you, Tom, how did you get to be a master stonemason?
Well, I did an apprenticeship here, so a 6-year apprenticeship, which, of course, apprenticeships are now coming back in fashion. But years ago when I started, you went and you did a city and guilds, and also, you finished your indentured 6-year apprenticeship. And then I went off around Europe, literally put my tools on my back, went over to Venice, to the European School for Craftsmen, and that's where I really got induced into how Britain sat inside Europe and all the craftsmanship, the blacksmiths, the gilders, the stained glass makers. All these crafts were still being produced in Venice.
It's a fascinating world, Tom. Appreciate you just to let us in just for a moment. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome, Simon.
Thank you. That's Tom Maude, master stonemason, author of Guided by a Stonemason, Cathedrals, Abbeys and Churches of Britain Unveiled. Nice one, Tom.